And let's now go across to somebody who's chosen a different aspect of career counseling simply because he believed there's an opportunity there in terms of enterprise. And Ashish Bhati is joining us. Thanks for joining us, Ashish, and thank you for your patience. You've obviously been a keen listener for a while. So we'd like to hear from you. What has been the reason for you starting out to do what you do? And the opportunity, has it worked out the way you wanted it to? Or do you feel that somewhere down the line, it could have been done in a different manner? Because that also is a part of learning in career counseling.
Sure. Thank you so much, Mr. Chetan, for giving me the opportunity to have this discussion with all the panelists. So basically, my point of view or my approach might be quite different from the rest of the panelists because they are school counselors. I have been running the business of career counseling. So it's like a open student helpline sort of thing where, we get calls all across India from tier 2, tier 1 cities. So my experience of career counseling inquiries have been quite different from the ones, from the counselors who are in school. So what we are trying to do is we might not get the time, there are some of the counselors have like 2 years program, 3 years, 4 years program to, analyze the student and give him career suggestions. We sometimes, the student comes in a hurry. Let's say he has come up with his results and he comes up with a hurry. He has to make a decision by tomorrow what kind of career to do. So we might not have the amount of the time required to analyze them. So we have created a 2.5 hours test. We have our approach more is on the algorithm, which calculates an on-the-spot report and gives us a shortlisted career. And the next day, we have to make a decision what career to choose. So our approach is more on the technology, on creating an algorithm, which we have been doing for the past 6 years. And the reason why I personally started this business or why I got into career counseling is I personally started career counseling in 2012, the business 2014. But as a career counselor, I started 2012. I am from an engineering background, so I'm not from a psychology background. But, when I look back at my journey or when I look back at my education, I realized, what was wrong was science was never the best choice for me after 10th. That is, I can assure you that this would be the same case for most of the engineers across India. So, I felt that career counseling is a need in India and has to be on a larger platform, not just tier 1 cities or international schools. It has to be in tier 2 cities, or it has to be available to local people in affordable prices as well. So we are trying to develop a portal, a career counseling packages in affordable prices with a high accuracy with the help of an algorithm. So this is our approach basically. As a career counseling platform, we're trying to create an end-to-end career counseling platform. So most of the time, I get a lot of inquiries. Some of them might not be suitable for a career assessment test. Some of them might just be fit for a mentoring package. Like students might know what they want to get into. They just need a mentoring about that particular career. So we have different packages designed for different kinds of inquiries. We don't need to push them to give a career assessment test. If they already know what career to choose, we connect them with an industry expert. So we've been designing different packages, understanding the need of different kind of inquiries for career counseling. And our approach mostly is more scalable and for most and now what we have realized is when a student calls us, we realize that sometimes when the student talks about a career, when he's talking about a career that he's interested in, sometimes it comes out to be a fascination. So we have to validate it to a scientific process where we take a test. And sometimes, when we take a test, we realize sometimes the students, what he's thinking about is a mere fascination. His interest might lie in some other career. So we try to understand, the kind of task an individual usually enjoys performing, and his aptitude, the capability of the student, if he's good at math, if he's good in verbal reasoning. Then his personality is a third factor, which usually till 12th or when you're studying does not matter that much, because you're not expected to expose yourself or work as a team till you're studying, The study part is just, studying on your own, giving exams and clearing the exams. But you're not supposed to expose your personality to others. So that's when, the personality, after graduation, when you start working, you realize, your personality is not matching your career. So that is the third parameter, which usually students realize when they start working. And that is when we also get a lot of inquiries from working professionals or mid-career changes, because after working for years, they realize, they are not a 9 to 6 desk work kind of, people. And then when we realize, okay, your personality is a mismatch, and then, it becomes a problem. So if he would have understood his personality much earlier in his stage, he could have made a decision much earlier.
Well, thank you. So very interesting. And I think that's what makes it a very 360-degree approach to the subject, because we've heard school teachers and counselors who do this at a very intensive level, right? At a very unique one-on-one level, right? But let's not forget the fact that all schools don't have counselors, right? And this is a very vast country. So the term that you used, Ashish, scalable, I think is something that's important. Because whatever happens, we've got to build some level of unanimity. I think it should be like, a right of every student to get counseling. Of course, it has to be effective, it has to be appropriate, it has to, it has to be correct, it has to be certainly transparent and honest. But the requirement is there. That's the reason why you saw it as a business, and all of you saw it as career options in your schools, and your schools have recognized the need for it. And you've obviously seen success in it, Ashish, because of the scores of students who continue to come to you, not just after, from the school level, but also from the working. And what about you, Ashish? What is your take quickly on how to select universities?
Right.
What do you expect from
Firstly, this is a very difficult question. The students keep asking me about, if this college is better than the other college, or if this university. It's a very subjective issue. But there are some factors which one can look at about a good university or a college. There is a student-professor ratio, the infrastructure, the brand. Basically, the brand, the older the college or the university, the better brand from what I have experienced. And there are a couple of things like the infrastructure. So that said, it does not mean, if there's a new university or college coming up, right? Just because it does not have a old, if it has not been there for a long time, does not mean, that it doesn't have that brand till in the market as of now. Because it might have a better infrastructure since it's a new college or a university. So there are some other factors also, like the infrastructure, the student-professor ratio, the qualification of the professors in the university or the college. I remember when I did engineering, we did engineering, and I did my engineering in telecommunication. So there were three options which we had. One of them was VLSI, which was chip manufacturing. In India, there is no such technology taught. If someone had to study specialization in chip manufacturing, we had no option but to go to US. And there were some particular universities, only those universities had that technology. So obviously, you also have to look at what you want to study and if that course or subject is offered in that college. Sometimes a college has a good brand, but you also have to look at the department. Like there are some colleges, having a moderate brand name, but that particular department is quite famous for it, maybe because of the infrastructure for that particular course, or the equipments available for studying, or the professor experience, etc. So you should also, apart from the brand, you should also look at the department. When you're there are some colleges whose department are famous for that particular. Let's say Xavier's is quite famous for psychology, right? So there are some departments, because of them, the college has a good brand.
All right, wonderful. Thank you for your insight and your understanding of how do you select universities and what do you look forward to in universities. Nandini Uchal, you represent a university, right, and a new one who's just ready to take off. How are you going to take off? In what direction are you going to take off, given what you've heard from the counseling fraternity as to what their expectations are from universities specifically?
Well, I was listening to Ashish and I realized this is exactly what I used to tell students when I used to go on outreach to schools. I've gone to several schools, done a lot of outreach in 7 years. Unfortunately, the last couple of years, we've not been able to go out, since last March. So I would tell students that look for, the faculty list. See, most websites are very transparent and there's enough information on the website itself. So look at the faculty list, look at their research. And if it's a residential campus, and look at the infrastructure, services, facilities. Look at the internationalization, and what kind of study abroad options these, pedagogy and assessment, whether it's formative. Some of them have actually changed their mind about going abroad and, stayed back in India and gone to some of these universities.